back with Dr. Gina live in Israel. I'm Barry Nussbaum here on America's Voice Network. All right, inquiring minds want to know, what's it like to work for Donald J. Trump directly?
So the president, to know him is to love him. And I know that a lot of people say that, so it maybe sounds trite, but I can't get over how sincere he is and how much he cares about other people. I'm super blessed in that I get to see the president when he's in his casual mode with his friends and his family, recovering from a week in the Beltway, recovering from the swamp, and kicking back with his friends and family. And he never, ever sees me at an event that he doesn't call me over. Sometimes even if he's not meeting with the head of state, invite me to sit down. Sometimes even if he is, he's very friendly. He's very impromptu, but you knew that already. And he's just a very gracious person. And then the first thing he does is ask 1,000 questions about me. These are the kinds of things you don't see. You know, when he's not portrayed this way in the media, but it is absolutely the truth, I can guarantee you. He always asks about my family. He always asks if there's anything he can do for me. He always asks if I'm having a good time. He always tells me, thank you for what you do for me, always. And always tells me which appearances he's seen or hasn't seen, always asks what show I'm going on next. And if somebody's not having me on lately, one time in particular, I had a little kind of break from Sean Hannity because he was on all of the investigative stuff. And he's like, why aren't you on Sean's show? And I said, I don't know, Mr. President, you'd have to ask Sean. And he said, I'm gonna call him. And sure enough, he did, and I was on the next week. So it really cracks me up. I think he takes every relationship he has very, very personally. He's not what you see on TV. Even those news channels that are portraying him in a positive light, they're not portraying the side of him that just really wants to nurture and love people, full of compassion, full of tolerance. A lot of people don't know, for example, his club Mar-a-Lago. First of all, let me say this. Belonging to a club in South Florida is almost a prerequisite of living there. It's the only access you have to the beach, unless you happen to be a billionaire who lives on the beach, but there are very few of those houses because it's a very small area. Mar-a-Lago is the only club that was permitting both Jews and blacks for a very long time, if it's not still true. And I'm having trouble verifying that to be 100% sure that it's still true today. But as within even the last couple of years, my understanding as a new Palm Beacher is that that is the case. How is that intolerant? How is that racist? You know, they paint a picture of him that is a complete lie, and it's an honor to stand for him every day.
Okay, so the President of the United States is your personal press and booking agent. We're impressed, way impressed. Let's talk about policy, G. What do you think of President Trump's exiting of the JCPOA, as you and I must have talked about dozens of times on the air over the last several years? If elected, he would do it. Well, he's done it. And what do you think about him moving the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, as was promised by every American president since Bill Clinton in 1995? Remember, the Congress passed the law that the U.S. Embassy would be in Jerusalem, and there was a waiver for only national security issues. And bizarrely, every single president, multiple times a year, took the waiver. Clinton did it, Bush did it, Obama did it. Every single time the law was going to be enforced. And now, Trump kept his promise and allowed it to go forward. What are your thoughts?
I think that almost every decision the president has made would be one that, if I could have had my way, I would have. I wake up every day and smile because he's still my president. Certainly, the Iran nuclear deal, pulling out of that, was a very rational decision. It was very one-sided. It wasn't accomplishing its goal, its stated goal anyway. And so it was a super smart thing, and I'm thrilled to death with it. As far as establishing Jerusalem again with the embassy, that is, I think it's something that we've been promised, if I'm not mistaken, since Clinton. And every president, I believe, since Clinton has promised that they would do that, and none of them ever fulfilled their promise. And this is what this president is. He's here to get a job done. You know, on the way here, I decided to listen to Art of the Deal again, and I did it on Audible on the plane. And it was amazing to hear how many of the same threads ran through his thought back then even. He said, he's about progress. He's about getting things done. He likes to get a checklist and then get things done. You look at what he's doing right now with North Korea, phenomenal. And the only thing I can think that I really took exception to that the president has done initially were the tariffs. But the moment that I stopped to consider what I know of this president, what I've known of this president from the day he came down that escalator, that is that he always has a goal in mind. He's the Babe Ruth of presidents. He points and he figures out a way to get it exactly where he said it's going to land. So the minute the tariff thing happened, I know being a free marketer, that is not in his core. But I also knew that he had a purpose that was greater than some bickering over tariffs. And sure enough, what did it take, a week? It didn't even take any time. And the president accomplishes another goal. So you can't be too proud of this president. We've never had someone like this. I'm sorry, he's better than Reagan. And I know that it's like, I'm not supposed to say that, but he is better. And I've never seen somebody who is so committed to the American people. And I'm so thankful, Barry, because I think back to the days when you and I first met and you were doing my show and you said things like that he had no other motivation except to do a good thing. And it's so true. And now that I've gotten to know his family very well from, again, being in Palm Beach and Mar-a-Lago with them and gotten to know him, I can tell you he's not done. And if anyone's impatient, it's him, because I think thought I was the most impatient person in the world, but I'm pretty sure he's more impatient. And we're going to see more great things out of this president as he continues.
That reminds me of all those shows we were doing several years ago when everyone said, not a chance Donald Trump was going to be president, let alone get through the primaries. And if you remember, yours truly, me, predicted he could win. And then I predicted he would when it was him versus Clinton. And, at least on that one, I was right. So I know he's got a lot of big things coming. I won't ask you to predict, but let's talk about on-the-ground politics now in Israel. You've got the constant potential invasion by Hamas operatives and their thousands of lackeys coming to the fence on the border with Israel every day, launching firebombs, shooting guns, planting explosives, cutting the fence, proclaiming they will cut the hearts out of the Jews and kill them all. When we come back from this break, Gina, I'd like you to be thinking about why it is the left in America will not recognize the truth about Israel, why Israel is always wrong, and they're continually getting demonized. We'll be right back.